Hi guys! Oh my gosh, I know. It's been forever since I have posted anything. I'm back. Yes. I've been gone for a while, right? Oh, I'm sorry, by the way, I'm doing laundry. Anyway, get your coffee, get your tea, get comfy. Mama Sam's got stories. So, in the last video, I told you guys that I was going to be going back to work, which is true. I did. I did go back to work. Now, I want to tell you stuff, okay? My gosh. So, before I got hired, I was hired to work at Smith's. My candles are dying. The batteries must be dying. Also, I got a letter board. This month is 30 Days of Thrones, and then next month I will be doing Christmas, and then after that I'll go back to Game of Thrones, and then I don't know, we'll go from there. But anyway, I love it. My sisters had it in Montana. My sisters. And so I decided to get one. But anyway, so I got hired to work at Smith's again, which is where I worked before as a cake decorator. And so I know I'm getting ready while I'm doing this. I'm sorry. Like, it just saves so much time. And besides, I have started watching Bailey Sarian. Have you guys seen her? Oh my gosh, I love her. I wish she was my wife. She does her hair and her makeup while she's doing her YouTube videos. Talk about a time saver. Like, she's a genius. So anyway, that's what I'm doing too. So I got hired to work at Smith's, and I was going back to Smith's basically because I had worked there. I started in 2011 and worked until I got sick in 2019 and then officially quit in 2020. So when I went back to apply, the person that I was applying with is a coworker of mine. I won't say her name, but we used to work together and we always got along. I thought we were cool and everything. So I started telling her, hey, I'm sick. I want to come back to work, but I'm ill. Like, I have an illness, and I kind of explained to her what it was. Because whenever I tell people, like, and they're like, what do you have? And I'm like, well, I have POTS. They're like, what is that? And I'm like, so I tell them it's pretty much just like fibromyalgia, except it's more of a circulatory issue. So I have lots of issues with standing for a long time. My heart can't really pump the blood correctly, and my blood pressure doesn't regulate and all this kind of stuff. When you start to tell them that kind of stuff, their eyes just kind of glaze over. So I just pretty much tell them, yeah, it's like fibromyalgia. So before I actually got hired to work, it took about 3 weeks, I think, of me just explaining to her what it's like for me all the time, how I'm feeling. And she was totally cool about it. Like, she was like, no, it's fine. I understand. Like, we'll start you off really light duty. And so she's like, well, we'll start you with 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. closing shifts, 2 or 3 days a week. We'll just see how your body reacts to it. And I'm like, yeah, this is perfect. That's absolutely perfect. Not only that, but I have an 8-year-old that I have to figure out what am I going to do with her. You know, I have to let my in-laws know, like, my schedules and stuff like that. She told me it wasn't going to be a problem. We talked and talked and talked for weeks. Weeks we talked about this. I told her that I can't stand for a long time. Like, I went through everything. I told her everything. I told her everything that I can and I can't do. Wasn't a problem at all. 100% was not a problem. And so it's the night before I'm supposed to be hired. She calls me while I'm in the bathtub and says, what do you want to work? And I'm like, what do you mean, what do I want to work? You told me that I was going to be working, 1 to 7, 2 to 3 nights a week to see how my body handles all this stuff. I've already told everybody that that's what I'm doing. Like, that works perfect with my schedule. And she was like, well, you don't know how to close. Which is true. I don't. I never closed before. I've always been a decorator. So I told her, I said, well, if you want to have a closer, yes, you're going to have to teach me how to do it. If you want to just throw someone in, without having to worry about training them. Decorating is where you won't have to show me how to do anything, teach me how to do anything, nothing. I know how to do that with my eyes closed. So she's all, okay, well, tomorrow I'm just going to have you decorate just to get you kind of like started back in, and then we'll get to like the closing shifts eventually. But right now, I just want you doing something you're familiar with to kind of condition your body back into working. I'm like, okay, sure, I guess that's fine with me. And so I go into work the next day, and I'm really, really nervous. Oh, gross, look at this gray hair. I'm really nervous because I haven't worked since 2020. February of 2020 was the last time I worked. While I'm in there working, doing decorator stuff, I hear her go, yeah, we're just going to put you on decorating from now on. I'm like, what? First of all, what about the other decorator? They already have a full-time decorator. So my boss tells me, well, she sucks. I don't want her decorating anymore. So you're the decorator now. Also, not just that, but I thought, well, it would be kind of nice to not have to close. Let's not kid ourselves. We don't want to close. Nobody really wants to close. If I'm doing decorating shifts, I'm going to be working from like 7 to 3, 7 to 1, whatever, 6 to noon. Shifts like that, those are more ideal. They just are. I'm like, okay, but I'm thinking, what about the other poor decorator that like I just came in and just like took her job? And when I told the boss that, she was like, don't worry about that. Like, she's no good. Thinking whether she's no good or not isn't really relevant. You need to tell her that, I told you already I'm sick. I can't carry this side. And as the days went by, I noticed that like whenever she would ask me like, how are you doing? And I'm like, I'm hurting, I'm struggling, which was true. I was really, really struggling, really, really hurting. She was just like, oh yeah, okay. And then that would be it. Like she wouldn't like, I don't know, maybe offer me a seat to sit down, since that's what I told her I have to be able to sit down and all this kind of stuff. Like she never did anything like that. And so I started to get like, oh, yeah, you just told me what I wanted to hear to get me in here. You don't really give two shits that I'm sick, do you? So I had to call in one day very early because I had a really bad IBS flare. And she was not happy. Basically was like, well, can you just come in and do the cake orders and then you can go? And I'm like, no. What? No. If I was good enough to come in, I would come in and work. I don't feel good. I can't even get out of bed. You guys have seen me in some of my videos where I have to be on my back the whole time. Like, no, I'm sorry, I can't. This is exactly what I was worried about happening. And so she, was like, okay, she can't really say too much else. I mean, I'm sick. What do you want me to do? Another thing that really bothered me was when I had first started, and I was told that I would only be working about 20 to 24 hours, which I told her, I want to work at least 20 hours. I have to work at least 20 hours in order to get my insurance. So that I was okay with. She said, okay, no problem. The very first week I worked 48 hours. They put me 48 hours. The very first week. Yeah, to hell, I guess, with seeing how your body handles it. I was in so much pain. I was so sore. Oh, it was so awful. My heart palpitations got worse that week. I had to go back on my metoprolol, I think it's called, because my heart palpitations got out of control. I had to go to the wheelchair because I couldn't walk very good. It just wrecked my body. And I was really, really kind of hurt because me and her had kind of been friends like beforehand. Like we used to work together we would talk about hanging out after work. So we would get cocktails after work and stuff like that. So I thought that when I told her all this stuff, she was going to like understand. Then something with my leg happened. I was out shopping with my mom for back to school shopping in August. And while I was walking, I just like noticed like it wasn't painful, but it was like a snap like in the back of my leg. And while I was walking, it was like I couldn't straighten my knee anymore. Like when I would try to walk, I'm like I can't my knee won't go straight, and it wasn't really painful. It was just like a really tight feeling. And so my mom was like, "Well, you probably just irritated it with all the walking that we're doing today." And I'm like, "Yeah, I guess like I could be." But I could tell like it felt different. Something felt wrong. And so ever since then, my leg has just been un I've been in so much pain. It has just been unbearable how much pain I've been in. Finally, one morning after I dropped Bracy off at school, I went to the emergency room because I was in so much pain. And they did x-ray and they did ultrasound, and they found that I have a joint effusion in my knee. So I had to tell my boss this, and she was very mad. Okay, like, so my knee had been bothering me, and I had told her my knee had been bothering me. And so when I finally ended up in the emergency room and I told her, "Hey, I'm in the emergency room. I'm in a lot of pain, all this kind of stuff. I don't know what's going on. They're going to do ultrasound and all this other stuff. I have to get a shot, all this kind of stuff." Her first text message to me wasn't like, "Oh my gosh, are you okay? Oh man, let me know what's going on," all this kind of stuff. Once you know what's going on, let me know. No, her first text message to me was, "Why couldn't you have done this on one of your days off?" I'm like, "Are you serious right now? What do you mean? I'm not planning any of this or planning for any of this. My leg, it's hurt. Like, I hurt my leg. What are you talking about? Wait till your day off. I'm sorry that I didn't plan." It's just so ridiculous. "I'm so sorry that I didn't plan on being in severe pain and, all this kind of stuff on a day that I was off. Sorry, it didn't happen that way." So I'm like, I was like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm in the ER. I don't really know what to tell you. I'll just let you know what's happening when I get done. Like, all this kind of stuff." She never texts me back. So I end up telling her that I'm not going to be able to work right now because I can't walk on my leg. And she was really mad. She was not happy. I started to think right then and there, this might not work. It was just really hurtful, like, to feel like somebody that I thought was my friend and that was totally sympathetic with me in the beginning is now like, "Yeah, I don't really care that you're in pain. Like, you need to come to work." So I got 6 days off from work, and I had to go back, which, it was hard. It really was hard. And she didn't care that it was hard on me at all. She didn't give a crap. So one morning, I went to get in my car, and my battery died. I'm like, damn it. And I'm thinking, I was thinking, like, I just changed this battery, like, last year. And then my husband came home, and he checked it out, and he's like, "Yeah, no, the last time we changed your battery was 2015. And I was like, "Oh, that's been a long time." So my battery died. So I text my boss. I was like, "Hey, my battery's dead. I don't have any way to get to work." I had no way to get anywhere. Like, I don't have it. My husband's at work. I don't have anybody to, like, help me out. So I text my boss thinking she's going to be like, "Oh, I'll come get you. I'll give you a ride," all this kind of stuff. Like, okay. No, I text her and she was all, "It's my only day off. Can't you just Uber?" And I'm like, I've never Ubered before. Like, I really haven't. I've never Ubered before. I don't really feel comfortable doing that. And so I told her, I was like, well, I'll check with my father-in-law, but I really don't know if he'll be able to take me. And she was just like, okay. And that was it. That's all I heard from her for that day. So I checked with my father-in-law. Unfortunately, he can't. He's got to take, my mother-in-law to a doctor's appointment. And I'm like, okay, that's what you got to do, man. I know all about that right now. So I text the other decorator. Remember her, Deja, the other decorator? I didn't say her name before, so you're probably like, no, I don't remember her. What are you talking about? But her name's Deja. She's the decorator that my boss never let me work with. Never wanted us to get to know each other, all this kind of stuff. I never got to work with her the whole time. And I texted her and I'm like, I know this is really awkward, but I can't make it to work today. Can you please just go in and just do the cake orders, all this kind of stuff. And I'll get my battery changed. It'll go back. Everything will be fine. Trust me, it's going to be fine. It's just a battery. Like, we'll get it fixed and we'll get all that worked out. And she was like, oh my gosh, yes, I'll totally do that. Like, of course. And I'm like, really? I'm like, wow, you're so sweet. And she was like, us decorators got to stick together. And I'm like, yeah, that was really cool. So she went in and covered for me for the day, and I was able to get my battery changed. I'm really pissed off at this point. Like, I'm just thinking, I told you everything. I didn't leave anything out when I got hired. Basically, you're a cold, heartless bitch. Like, I'm trying to be really cool and do everything that I can. And you're just not wanting to work with me. You're not. Like, I told you I have a disability. I'm not lying. I could pull up all of the medical information that I have from the Mayo Clinic and have it sent to you. Like, I am sick. That's not a lie. So I tried working, right, for a little bit. And I did it for about a week, maybe a week, I think. I texted her one morning, and this was on my days off, that I'm in so much pain. I don't know if I'm going to be able to come back to work right now. I really need to have some time off to figure out whatever's going on with my leg, have it fixed, and then come back. So she messages me, don't bother coming back. I mean, I'm not surprised. The way that she had been treating and acting the whole time that I was there, it really didn't surprise me. So I was really angry at first. I wanted to say something really mean to her and just be like, you know what, fuck you. Oh, screw you, bitch. You don't care about me. You're heartless. All this kind of, I wanted to say that, but then I'm like, no, I don't want to like burn any bridges permanently, even though I would think that this one is pretty much done for. So I was just like, I texted, I was like, if you couldn't handle having somebody with a chronic illness, then you shouldn't have hired me, and you shouldn't have lied to me. And she never messaged back, never got anything back. So that's that. So yeah, I don't have a job anymore, guys. I don't know. It kind of hurts. It hurts a little bit. It hurts a little bit. Especially when I thought that, she was supposed to be my friend. All that mumbo jumbo. There, what do we think? So, anyway, I was going to go into more... Wait a minute, let me see. Oh, yeah. Not bad. It's interesting. Anyway, I was going to go into more in this video, but I think this video has gotten a little too long. I wasn't expecting to go on a rant about why I'm not working anymore, but here we are. Anyway, it was really nice catching up. I missed you guys so much, my little audience, and I'm excited to be back and doing this again. So I will see you guys next time. Bye, friends.